Hello everyone, this is Tetrafolium, and I'm here today to bring you a video about Jolteon in ADV. Sometimes I have a little bit of a tough time figuring out what I want the title for the video to be, so we're gonna see if we can steal some false swipe gaming viewers here. I don't know, maybe we will. I'll be honest, I have not watched false swipe gaming in a long time. I think after I started playing the game a little more myself, I kind of lost a little bit of interest. Don't have anything against that channel and what they do. I think it's a good way to get the casual Pokemon audience into competitive. So for that reason, I respect what they do. So shout outs. Here are the ADV viability rankings. I'm going to continue to use the aggregate. I do have my own viability rankings, which if you've watched the stream that I did not too long ago, you would know where I would place Jolteon. And I don't think I'm that far off of where the aggregates are. Let me do a little soul searching here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. I have it just on the dot where they have it as well. That's kind of interesting how that plays out. I have Registeel ranked above Jolteon, but I have Charizard ranked lower than Jolteon, so that's kind of where it plays out there. You know, viability rankings are kind of like what's the easy way to say this? They're like you know, buttholes. You know, everybody's got one and they all stink. So, but enough of the crude humor here. Let's get the comment question for this video. Who's your favorite Eeveelution? For me, it's Vaporeon. Second would probably be Sylveon, and then third would be Jolteon. So I don't know if you would have expected that from me. I think you would probably have expected Vaporeon's my favorite if you've listened to me talk about ADV in any at any length of time. But I'm curious what you guys are rocking with. I think Jolteon is a very popular one. So expecting to see a lot of that in the comments. Let's talk about the speed hierarchy in ADV. If you've watched my Alakazam video, you've seen the slide before. I'm going to go through it pretty quickly, but technically the fastest Pokemon in the tier are Ninjask, sitting at a whopping base 160, and with speed boost to boosted speed every turn. The rich get richer, right? Well, I mean, Ninjask kind of spec'd a little too much into speed. It kind of forgot that the other stats exist a little bit. Electrode is in a similar boat. It's sitting at a base of 140 speed, down from 150 if you're coming from a modern generation. Still plenty fast enough to get what it needs. So no problem with Electrode there. But here is the money makers right here. The gold standard Aerodactyl and Jolteon sitting at base 130. For the vast majority of games, these are uncontested. They are going to be the fastest Pokemon in the tier. You also have Dugtrio there at 120. That's a pretty damn good speed tier in its own right. There are a handful of Pokemon. I think maybe just the only one that comes to mind is Swellow, who's sitting in between these at 125. But Swellow is a virtually unusable Pokemon. I mean, it's not completely. It's got a cool little Endeavor double-edge substitute set that it can run nowadays. But yeah, Stark Pass is no longer allowed, so that cool Vapokuno team is not for use in the modern era. So that's a little unfortunate, I guess. I mean, not like Swellow is fantastic either way. But yeah, there's some other Pokemon here that are considered pretty fast. Without boring you with the gory details here, what you need to know is that being faster than all of these guys gives you great matchups into a lot of them. In particular, these Pokemon who are kind of frail, like Charizard and Gengar and Starmie, do not love to face a Jolteon who's slamming fast Thunderbolts into them. Likewise, Aerodactyl's got great matchups across the board here. Flygon could be a little bit of an issue for both, but Jolteon could run Hidden Power Ice, and we'll get a little bit into the discussion about which Hidden Power I think you should be running on Jolteon. Whether you should be running Hidden Power on Jolteon or not. Spoiler, the answer is yes, you should. But let's continue. So what does it mean to be the fastest? I want to take a slight digression here to talk about anime, so forgive my sins here if you're not into that weeb stuff. Jujutsu Kaisen, Satoru Gojo, great character, and he is what I think is considered in the universe to be the strongest sorcerer, and they call him the strongest. And like, there's a vignette early on in season 2 that talks about him as the strongest, and it's like, what does it mean to be the strongest? And everybody's got their own like take on it, and it's just how the Jujutsu sorcery community has warped around Gojo being the strongest guy. And I think similarly, being the fastest Pokemon in a metagame does warp the metagame a lot. If you're coming from modern generations, you're probably familiar with like Dragapult in Gen 8, as well as in Gen 9. So fast, so strong. Everything in the tier has to think about what's going to happen when Dragapult hits the field. Now, I don't think Jolteon's quite as strong as Dragapult, but a similar thing has to happen in ADV, and that's sort of what we're getting at here, is that speed determining the turn order, the faster Pokemon will go first. That means that if you are faster than your opponent and they feint to your attack, you will simply just earn that KO. So there's our buddy Charizard there, begging, pleading for Jolteon not to click that Thunderbolt into him. He knows he's not long for this world. I don't know about you. We're over on the topic of anime here. This Crying Charizard, shoutouts to the PMD Sprite repository, which is where I get a lot of these. They are fan-made. This Crying Charizard reminds me a lot of a show that I've watched called Magical Girl Sight. It's not good. I don't recommend that you watch it. But there's a crying girl in that show who became kind of a meme. I'm sure you're probably more familiar with the meme than the show, but if you look it up, I'm sure you'll know what I'm talking about. So in theory, if every Pokemon has been put into range of any of Jolteon's moves, then Jolteon will just clean up the game, and you've won right there. It's a very simple win condition. Well, okay, it's not that simple. Otherwise, Jolteon would just be like the Pokemon on every team, right? There's some nuance to how to set up a sweep for Jolteon, and we're going to talk about that here. And in order to do that, I want to define this term revenge killing. So, a revenge kill occurs when one Pokemon is sacrificed to allow for a teammate to enter the field and threaten a KO. So, here's a little graphic here. Picture you have Aerodactyl up against a Suicune, and we're going to say, for the sake of argument, that it's a 252 HP Suicune, 252 special attack, just to make the math a little easier here. We don't have to worry about, well, what if Suicune's got a lot of defense, it doesn't take as much, and what if it doesn't kill the Aerodactyl, forget all that. Aerodactyl, obviously faster than Suicune, and it's going to throw out its strongest move into the Suicune, which is a Double Edge for about 40% damage. Issue is, Suicune's going to throw out that Surf for 100% damage, so you've lost your Aerodactyl. So that might sound like a bad thing, and in a lot of cases it is. You don't want to lose your Aerodactyl for that little amount of progress made into the Suicune. However, Jolteon's going to come in, and it does about 65% to Suicune with Thunderbolt. And now Suicune's not so happy about taking that trade there. I'm not saying that you should always be looking to just slam your Pokemon into something like a Suicune to set up for Jolteon to get a kill. It's not that easy. If they have like something like a Blissey to switch into, then that might have been a very low value play on your end, because obviously Thunderbolt's not going to do that much to the Blissey. But like in an endgame situation where you've identified that Suicune is the last threat that can win the game for your opponent, you can make a play like this, where you're going to sack one Pokemon to allow the other Pokemon to get the secured kill. The issue, right, why wouldn't you just go straight to Jolteon? Well, if Suicune stays in and clicks a Calm Mind or a Surf into the Jolteon switching in, well, you're not going to kill the Suicune back, and Suicune might actually be able to win the one-on-one versus your Jolteon. Now, this might be a bad example because Jolteon would then set up the revenge kill for Aerodactyl, but maybe you're in a situation where your Jolteon's more valuable than your Aerodactyl, so you're not able to do that sort of trade into the Suicune. So, yeah. So let's talk about some tools that are good for setting up revenge kills. Spikes is a great one. Here comes the Skarmory throwing its pocket sand, otherwise known as 3 layers of spikes up on the field. Now Suicune, every time it touches the field, it's taking 25% damage. Does not like to see that. That does mean that it's going to get closer to the KO thresholds that you'll need. So that's why it's important for setting up good revenge kills. The other thing is that Skarmory is really, really good at sacrificing itself to set up for a revenge kill. With Roar, it gets really, really good value. So Suicune, say it stays in and goes for a Surf on the Skarmory, and Skarmory roars it out. Okay, well now when Suicune comes back in again, it's going to take another 25% damage. So very, very close to the threshold in which it's going to die to a Jolteon Thunderbolt. In fact, I think it would probably be well beyond that for the most part. And Skarmory, once it's set up its 3 layers, it slightly depends on the matchup, but it's probably gotten most of the value that it needs to get against a lot of teams. So you're probably happy to just roar around and rack up that spikes damage, and then if they kill you, then you get your revenge killer in, and perfect. Great place to be. The other is Explosion. So this Gengar here, which notably has a pretty weak explosion, is going to blow up on the Suicune, and then, there it goes. Just blew the hell up, and now it's dead. And the Suicune, not dead, because it's a pretty weak explosion, all things considered, but Suicune can't do anything in Gen 3. When a Pokemon dies, the turn ends. So Suicune can't set up a Calm Mind. It can't rest to get its HP back. That explosion has just completely nullified a turn for Suicune. So it's basically just getting a bunch of damage on Suicune that it can't block, or like take advantage of. It does sacrifice your entire Gengar, but that might be exactly what you need to get that Jolteon in to get the Thunderbolt off on that Suicune. The next is trading. So this is probably the most common thing that you'll be doing, unless you are a Spikes addict, which, I mean, it's okay. I'm here for you. We can talk about this. Send me a DM at Tetrafolium. No, actually, don't send me DMs. It's, okay, you can, but I don't want to get spammed in the DMs. The Salamence here is looking to soften up the Suicune. It's usually Salamence is not beating Suicune one-on-one, especially if the Suicune has Ice Beam. But you can throw out some Hidden Power Flies to leave the Suicune at lower HP, and then Jolteon can come in, get that kill on the Suicune. And yeah, the Suicune is getting it pretty rough this go around. I think you guys are rubbing off on me the way you hate Suicune and refuse to vote for it in my polls. I mean, we're just doing some Suicune slander today. Another thing that's also kind of nice for setting up good revenge kills is Baton Pass. So this is not a huge or a great example for this particular video where we're talking about Jolteon, who is one of the more common Baton Passers. Another common one is Zapdos. Both of them would love to just stay in on a Suicune and click Thunderbolt. But Vaporeon's a great example. It can come in on Suicune quite easily because it doesn't mind taking a Water move or an Ice Beam, thanks to its really high bulk and access to Water Absorb. But it can't really do that much to Suicune, so what it can do is Baton Pass out if Suicune tries to, say, set a substitute or set up a Calm Mind or something like that. Then the Jolteon's coming in. Now it's usually going to win that 1v1, and Suicune is in danger. You know, again, there's some room for variance depending on what the sets are. If it's an offensive Suicune and they click Calm Mind, then they might be killing your Jolteon with a Hydro Pump, depending on certain factors. But yeah, these are the 4 tools here. If you want to incorporate them into your team building for setting up good revenge killing on your offense teams, these are good ones to go for. I don't necessarily think that you should do all of them on the same team. It's a lot to fit all of that, but they're all pretty good concepts. So let's talk about breaking the special walls. Obviously, we can't really do a good job revenge killing if there are Pokemon on the field or on our opponent's on our opponent's bench, if you want to call it that, using TCG terms here. I don't know. I didn't play very much TCG. These Pokemon will switch into Jolteon, and it's really, really hard to put them in range. Blissey, Snorlax, Regice. There are maybe a couple other Pokemon, but these are like the classic special walls that Jolteon would hate to see. Now, in the case of Snorlax and Regice, because they don't have recovery, it's not super duper difficult to let Spikes and Sand handle them. If we can stop their chip healing, then they can only come in but so many times on a Jolteon Thunderbolt. Yeah, they only take about like 20%, but that's only 5 times that they can switch in when you think about it. Well, actually only 4, because you'll outspeed and kill them as they switch in the 4th time. If you're able to get Spikes up, that also limits the amount of progress that they're able to make. Blissey, a little bit harder to do that with because it can heal itself with Soft Boiled, but what you can do is use a physical breaker that just softens them up. Metagross, great matchup into Blissey most of the time. So using something like that can be really, really solid for setting up a Jolteon win condition. And then, like, why Metagross is, like, really good as well. So, like, Metagross versus Blissey. Blissey is wanting to switch out. So they're going to switch into something that can take Meteor Mash. But if Meteor Mash gets the raise, sometimes whatever comes in as the Metagross check is no longer a Metagross check. Which means that you can make a lot of progress that way. So even if they're not going to give you the Blissey, they might be giving you the game with Metagross right there. It's so messed up how easy it is for Metagross to set up its own sweeps. I'm going to switch the music up here. Let's talk about the defensive utility of Jolteon. A little more mysterious because Jolteon, I don't have its base stats to show you. If I was a better YouTuber, I'd probably added it in, but it's got pretty low stats across the board, at least in terms of its defenses. So why are we going to try to get defensive utility out of a Jolteon? Well, I mean, you want to get as much as you can out of every Pokemon. And we're going to take advantage of Jolteon's fairly rare Volt Absorb ability, which gives it an electric immunity, which is kind of interesting because the only other electric immune Pokemon are going to be ground types, but they have a certain defensive profile to them that maybe isn't what you exactly want for your team. And obviously there are no ground types that are even nearly as fast as Jolteon. I think the fastest ground type is Flygon. Correct me in the comments if I'm wrong. But yeah, that's not nearly fast enough to be like the cleaner that you want Jolteon to be. I want to note here, especially again if you're coming from modern gens, electric types are not immune to getting paralyzed, which means that they're not immune to the move Thunderwave. In addition to that, Volt Absorb also not giving you a Thunderwave immunity. So there's nothing you can do to block a Thunderwave if you're not a ground type. And there's nothing you can do to block paralysis, period, if the opponent really, really wants to get it on you. That Miltank set that runs Body Slam and Thunderwave, it's going to get you, whether you like it or not. This gives Jolteon an opportunity to switch into opposing electrics in a pinch. So here we go. There's Jolteon meeting up with its boys here. Well, I think actually Zapdos and Raikou are both genderless, so we're gonna say it's homies. Jolteon misgendering them too. How about that? Jolteon's not an ally? Question mark. All right, I'll stop doing it. I get enough dislikes when I say stuff like this anyway. So yeah, the thing is though that because of the fear of Thunderwave, Jolteon doesn't love to stay in on a Zapdos. I mean, it depends. Sometimes, like, if you know that Zapdos doesn't have a status move, sometimes you're okay to trade down into it with your Thunderbolts. You're going to be outpacing Zapdos in terms of damage because you're going to be able to click your good stab move while Zapdos has to click a fairly weak coverage hidden power that doesn't even hit you super effective. Raikou, you don't want to stay in on Raikou for too long for other reasons, but we'll talk about what Jolteon does to handle these issues. So Jolteon's got to get out of there versus Zapdos if it doesn't want to get Thunderwave. So you can click Baton Pass to maneuver around a Zapdos. A good idea, a gamer known as HClat has written in his Clat Manments for team building, is that Flygon should be paired with Jolteon, which I don't know if that's 100% true. Like, I mean, Superman is perfectly fine as an archetype, I believe. But one of the cool things that you can do is you can Baton Pass out of a T-Wave user into Flygon, and now Flygon is threatening to not Earthquake, but Toxic or Rock Slide into Zapdos. Can be a little risky if you don't know if the Zapdos has Hidden Power Ice or not, but most of the time Zapdos is running Hidden Power Grass, so it's a risk that you can sometimes afford to take. Against Raikou, though, we don't really want to Baton Pass out per se, because Raikou is just going to Calm Mind up and start snowballing the game if we don't do something about it. So we can Roar it out. And that's really, really strong, because Raikou, if it's clicking Calm Mind and we Roar it, well, it got no progress. And if it's clicking its weak-ass Hidden Power into us, well, it's still not getting much progress. And if we've got Spikes down, then we're happy to take that trade of damage. So this is the standard Jolteon set. When I started playing ADV, there was actually a set for Jolteon, or at least the standard set for Jolteon, recommended divesting a little bit from special attack and running a little bit of special defense. Why? I don't know. I think it was for, like, offensive Suicune calcs, like, so that you can always live a +1 Hydro Pump. I don't think that that's that relevant nowadays. I think you would much rather have as much special attack as you can get on the Jolteon, so that you don't have to find even more chip into opposing things like a Swampert or like a Milotic in order to be able to kill them off. Well, you know, it depends on... I guess it depends on what you need. I will talk about one thing you can do to alter your EVs here a little bit if you want to do it, but let's just take this at face value for what it is. Typical ADV electric type, going to run Thunderbolt and a Hidden Power, and then the next two slots are kind of flex whatever you can get out of those, because for whatever reason, the electric types have really crap moves in Gen 3, except for Electabuzz, who some would say is better than Jolteon. I don't know if that was me, but some have said this. But yeah, Baton Pass, Thunderwave, and Roar are the most common moves to fill out the Jolteon set. Thunderwave, just a fantastic move in general. if you can fit it on Jolteon, you should. Being able to get a fast Thunderwave off on whatever you want is just can be devastating for a lot of teams. Say like Salamence is hoping like, oh, I'm just gonna muscle through other potential Thunderwave users and they won't be able to paralyze me. Like I'm gonna muscle through a Registeel. I'm gonna hit it with a nasty Earthquake and switch out. Well, I mean, Jolteon, like, it's outspeeding, so if you stay in, you're getting Thunderwave, buddy. So that's kind of nice. Yeah, Baton Pass and Roar are great for the reasons we talked about in the last slide, but I want to talk about another thing here. First, let's skip ahead. We're going to talk about Baton Pass. My rule for Jolteon, if you don't have spikes on your team, you must have Baton Pass on your Jolteon. Why? Well, because of Dugtrio. Dugtrio traps Jolteon, but Jolteon isn't usually that scared of Dugtrio because it can Baton Pass out, and then the Dugtrio is, like, it's not going to be able to land its Earthquake. The problem is, if you don't have Baton Pass, you do have a super effective hidden power, but that hidden power does not kill Dugtrio. Even a no-investment Dugtrio is almost always going to live a hidden power Ice or a hidden power Grass from Jolteon. So that's why I'm saying if you don't have spikes, you have to have Baton Pass on your Jolteon. Because otherwise you do become Dug trappable, and it's not good to lose your Jolteon to a Dugtrio. Now, I should mention that some Dugtrio run bulk, particularly to live a Blissey Ice Beam, also sometimes to live, say, like a Celebi hidden power Grass. So that it can more effectively trade for those Pokemon. In those cases, sometimes even one turn of Spikes Chip is not enough to kill a Dugtrio, but the hope is that in those cases you still have enough tools to outplay and win, and that the Dugtrio is going to die to the next turn of Spikes that it takes, so at least it can't trap and remove another one of your Pokemon. But yeah, just want to mention that. And I also will say Spikeless Jolteon teams are not very common. There's one person that I have in mind who does run them. But we don't have to talk about him so much. Yeah, but that's great here. The hidden powers. So I think Grass is preferable since Swampert is so common, especially nowadays. You see a lot of people's VRs, they're putting Swampert number 2, number 3. I don't think it's going to end up there. I think it's probably going to be 4th. I don't know, though. There are a lot of people really, really underrating Blissey nowadays, so that's its main competition for the 3rd spot. But HP Ice can be used. It's not as effective as you would hope, though. It doesn't usually kill a healthy Flygon, even though an offensive Flygon is pretty likely to live. So I don't super love Hidden Power Ice, but you know, depending on your team, you might want it. I would default to Grass if you don't know for sure. Because it's just so much nicer for hitting Swampert. Yeah. So other move options you could run Toxic, you could run Substitute, which pairs great with Baton Pass since you can pass the Substitute. Wish, I think, is a really, really nice move to fit on Jolteon. Not usually for itself, but it can do a good job passing to teammates. What you can do is bring Jolteon in on something that doesn't want to stay in on it, like, say, Charizard or Suicune or whatever. And knowing that the opponent has to switch, you can click Wish, and then whatever they come in with, you get to pass a Wish to whatever your answer is to that, so that that Pokemon stays pretty healthy. It's kind of a nice way to sneak a little bit of extra longevity, especially on faster pace offense teams. So it's kind of a nice thing to do. There's Charm, which is a move that lowers the opponent's attack stat by 2 stages. can be nice into certain things, and we'll talk a little bit more about that in a moment. And then I want to mention Bite. I don't think Bite is a great move, but it gives you paraflinch opportunities because Bite has a 30% chance to flinch. It is also technically your best move to hit Celebi if you're not using Hidden Power Ice. Now, that being said, you don't do very much damage with Bite. It's a pretty weak move, only 60 base power, and you don't get stabbed or anything. So, like, you're doing like 30-ish to maybe 40-ish% to Celebi, assuming it's like an offensive Celebi. It's pretty weak. But you can set up certain things, like you paralyze something that is not quite in Thunderbolt range. You can click Bite and then fish for that paraflinch and then kind of set up your own kill with Jolteon. Not very consistent. Don't recommend it. So, yeah. You can run a little bit of defensive investment on Jolteon, particularly 76 defense EVs will allow you to live a CB Rock Slide from Aerodactyl in the sand. Why would you care about that? Well, one of the things that you'll find with Jolteon, if you play it enough, is that sometimes you're going to be in a situation where you have to win a speed tie versus Aerodactyl. Now, if Aerodactyl is locking into Earthquake, there's not really much you can do about that. You're just going to take the 50-50, hope it goes your way. But if the Aerodactyl has to lock into Rock Slide, and sometimes it will have to do this because maybe you've revealed a Pokemon on your team that has like Levitate or is a flying type, so the Aerodactyl can't really afford to lock into Earthquake. Maybe perhaps it also can't afford to lock into Double Edge because Double Edge is not going to do enough damage to whoever's in the back. So they're going to go for Rock Slide. What this means is that you are guaranteed to live the Rock Slide unless you get crit. So if you lose that first speed tie and you get flinched, you get another opportunity to get the speed tie. So that means that the Aerodactyl has to win 2 speed ties in a row and either crit or flinch the first Rock Slide. So that really, really reduces the chances that Arrow comes out on top in the Arrow versus Jolteon exchange, and kind of forces it to not click Rock Slide in the case that you do happen to run this 76 defense EV Jolteon. However, I don't think that that's super duper worth it because you're gonna have to pull from your special attack. If you pull from your speed, it's like what are you even doing? Like you don't even win the speed tie anyway, so kind of defeats the purpose. I think you'll be left at about 188 Spatak, which is not great for being able to guarantee a kill on Charizard or being able to force damage on Gengar or Suicune that has hit a Calm Mind already. So I don't know if I would super duper recommend it all the time, but it's something you can try if you want. And here's the Jolteon set that I will be running today. We're going to use Thunderwave. Great move, fantastic move. Use it as much as you can on Jolteon. And then we're going to use Tickle. You might be thinking, what is Tickle doing here? Well, we're going to get to that. Let's talk about Thunderbolt, how it OHKOs Charizard. Usually OHKOs Starmie even if it's defensive. It doesn't always, but usually will. And it's going to comfortably 2-hit KO pretty much all the other relevant electric weak Pokemon that are in the tier. I mean, I think maybe like Milotic could get out of that if it runs a lot of Spadef investment, but Milotic almost never runs Spadef investment, so I wouldn't really worry about that. Hidden Power Grass can OHKO Pert after spikes, depending on the Pert set, but you're usually looking for the Pert to be around 60% to get a comfortable revenge kill. The most defensive Pert is going to take, I think, 74 minimum, somewhere in that ballpark. So if they can, like, protect and maybe get out of range, and then you have to, like, go for the range as they get to click Earthquake, which will always kill your Jolteon. I'm not super duper in love with that idea, but when you get the spikes down and Pert is taking all that damage, it's actually not that hard to leave it in like the 60-ish% range. And then Tickle is here. So what does Tickle do? It's going to stop DD Tar and Curse Lax from setting up on you. In the case of Tyranitar, you're going to keep stacking defense debuffs on it, which can help you set up for other revenge kills. Yes, the Tar is still going to keep getting its speed, and it will eventually outspeed your Jolteon, but it's never, ever, ever going to be able to get a +1 attack against your Jolteon if you don't want it to. So, that's pretty nice. Against Curselax, it's not the best place to just be like tickling with the Jolteon, because eventually the Lax is just going to attack you and kill you. But say you get a Thunderwave on the Curselax, and now the Lax has chances to just get full parried on top of being tickled down. If it gets full parried, well, now you're making progress against it. It's going to be -1 attack, -1 defense. And even if it tries to curse past that, like, it has to contend with the chances to get paralyzed, and will continue to be mitigated. I don't know if I would recommend doing that all the time. I guess if you're in a situation where they're Lastmon Snorlax, and you have Jolteon and a Boom and another Pokemon on your team, and the way to set up the guaranteed kill is to make sure that the Snorlax is unable to stick any boosts, and then rip your explosion on him. That's a way to do it. And Tickle has 32 PP, so it's got double the PP that Curse has, so you're not in danger of running out. Jolteon, of course, is going to outspeed the entire tier, minus Aerodactyl, and one of our friend of the channel's favorite Shitmon. You're also going to outspeed +1 Tyranitar, even if it's Jolly, which is... I know that Jolly Tyranitar is not that common nowadays, or Jolly DD Tyranitar. It's not that common nowadays, but, I mean, in the case that you do run into it, it is nice to have that peace of mind. Raikou has to say, well, they're not going to be Jolly this time, and then you get Earthquake, then die, so... I want to note here, Charm. It is kind of working under a similar concept as Tickle. Charm is, I would say, oftentimes advantageous as compared to Tickle, because you were going to outpace things like Curse and Dragon Dance. In fact, I think if Tyranitar clicks a Dragon Dance in front of your Jolteon as you Charm, when you get that second Charm off, it's going to be -3. Earthquake doesn't even kill your Jolteon at that point, in which case you can start fishing for your Thunder Waves. And even if it's a Lumtar, you can stick the Thunder Wave. At best, it's going to be -2 and paralyzed. So that's not a great spot for Tyranitar to be in. But I like Tickle just because of the defense drop. Lets certain other Pokemon on my team act with a little bit more consistency. But if you want to replace Charm on this, the team's gonna work pretty much exactly the same. And here's the structure, and the Pokemon that I was referring to earlier is Metagross. Metagross doesn't always kill Tyranitar with Meteor Mash. Did you know that? Well, at least my Metagross set doesn't. But even if as long as you don't have Choice Band, you cannot guarantee a kill on a 252 HP Tyranitar. It's kind of wild. But of course you can if it's got -1 defense. So this team, it's a Jolt Spikes team. Jolteon, very, very, very common on well, I should say it's very, very commonly paired with Spikes. And there are a lot of Spikers that work with Jolteon. You can run it with Skarmory, of course, but as you see, I'm doing Fortress here. It actually works pretty well with Cloyster, because Cloyster is quite good at switching into Swampert, and you do like to have something that can force a little bit of damage on Swampert for your Jolteon. Glalie is a Pokemon you could run with Jolteon. I've seen that done before. It's kind of nice if you want to cheat a little bit on Zapdos. Yeah, this is the squad we're going with today. We have a lot of potential win conditions on this team with our Calm Crocoon. Crocoon being Rest, Sleep, Talk, Calm Mind. And Surf, obviously. We have an Agility Metagross, we have a DD Salamence, and we don't have a win condition Tyranitar, it's Pursuit, but we can smartly trade off some of these potential win conditions to find a path for one of them to win the game. We don't need all of them to win, we just need one of them to get there, so... lead Suicune is here to scare out or trade into a lead DD Tyranitar. One of the weaknesses of this team is that Metagross is our only true rock resist. And Metagross is not a fantastic solo rock resist when it comes to dealing with Tyranitar. So on these teams that do try to do this, I think you have to lead something that stops Tyranitar from DDing turn 1. Because if you end up in a... Let's say we were leading like the Jolteon, for example. And... Tyranitar wants to DD on that. Well, what the hell are we supposed to do? Like, we're pretty much in danger of getting swept there. We want to be as greedy as possible with this Suicune because it can dominate versus defensive teams because of its special bulk and high special attack. I'll talk about that maybe as we get into some of the replays if it's coming up. But this Suicune set is quite nice. I have some alternative spreads. I'm going to keep some of them to myself. You know, man's got to keep his secrets every now and then. But yeah, that's a interesting little Suicune set here that we'll dive into. Agility, Metagross, and DD Mens are pretty strong win conditions in their own right, depending on the matchup, but they can trade down for other win conditions, say like Salamence sticking an Earthquake onto a Jirachi and then dying to the Ice Punch, so that we put it in range of something like our Tyranitar or our Suicune or our Jolteon or Metagross, etc., etc. And Metagross, of course, is very good at trading. It can just blow up at any time that it wants. Well, okay, maybe don't blow it up all the time. Sometimes you do need it for its defensive utility. But, I mean, you can't beat a Metagross explosion. Jolteon and Sutar are actually pretty nice together because they form a pretty good offensive/defensive core against Gengar Spike's teams. Skarmory and Gengar do not love to see either of these Pokemon. And even if you end up in a situation where Tyranitar fails to trap the Gengar, say you get crit by its Giga Drain or something like that, well, you're going to usually leave it in range where Jolteon is going to be dangerous for the Gengar, and it's not going to be able to stay in to tank a Thunderbolt. It's not great. Usually would love for Tyranitar to handle the Gengar so Fortress can spin. But it's a sort of backup plan in case you need it. It also means that Tyranitar doesn't have to eat hits from Zapdos. Because as you can see, we don't have an electric resist on our team. Other than Jolteon, who is a great Pokemon at switching into Zapdos. Just try not to get paralyzed and give Dugtrio way too much value. But it's okay. It's kind of okay if Dugtrio manages to find a kill because we have the DD Ments to kind of punish a Dugtrio trap. And then also this Fortress set, it's my guilty pleasure HP Fire Toxic Fortress. I'm addicted to this thing. Somebody please stop me. It's a problem. But yeah. Before we get into the replays, though, I need to talk to you guys heart to heart real quick. Currently, I'm sitting at about 1,608 subscribers, and our good buddy Zetz, he's sitting at about 10 more subscribers than I am. I looked at my analytics, and 2/3 of you are subscribed, which, I mean, well, that's pretty good, honestly. Like, that means we're getting a healthy amount of new viewers every now and then. But if those of you who are not subscribed could subscribe, I could maybe overtake Zetz. Think about that. All right, let's get into the replays. And I'm going to play some good music for you here. The Amp Plains. I love this song from Pokemon Mystery Dungeon. I don't know if I love the dungeon so much. The boss battle at the end is not easy. But it could be, you can figure out a lot of cool text for it. I like linking an attacking move with Protect. It's a good way to handle that boss. Or if you can find Vacuum Cut and do the room-wide strategy there. But you already know if you've played. Let's get into this. So we're on our Boss Gug Uxud alt. And we're up against a turn 1 Blaziken. Hold on, let me check the elo. 1648 with Blaziken and Cloyster. Kind of crazy. Blaziken does not love to see a lead Suicune, and Cloyster does not love to switch into a Spatak invested Surf from Suicune. I'm going to go straight to Jolteon here because I am not looking to trade a Boom into Cloyster right now. I'm one of the few Jolt Spikes teams that is not running a Gengar, so we can't like mess around with an Explosion Cloyster and then switch into our Gengar as sort of a way to punish the Explosion. So I'm just into the Jolteon, and I'm going to click Hidden Power Grass just to see if he's got something like a Swampert kicking around in the back, that, or like any ground type really, that would switch into the electric move. It kills the Cloyster anyway, and he's just gonna eat that and die. And then Blaziken's gonna come in. I'm gonna take a Thunderwave on it, and I get the full para, which is very, very lucky. And then I'm gonna switch into another one of the Pokemon that Blaziken hates to see, which is Salamence. And we're gonna Dragon Dance up as Zapdos is going to come in, take a Rock Slide. It does happen to live it, but I also live a Hidden Power Ice. So that's not good for our good buddy Zapdos. I can just click a Hidden Power Flying, nothing that really punishes it, as Tyranitar is going to come in, but Earthquake is going to be quite dangerous for that. This Swampert comes in and takes 43%. I am going to decide to save my Salamence because it seems like it can get a little bit more value than just trading into the Swampert, who clicks Hidden Power. The hell? Probably Hidden Power Rock. I'm going to switch back to Salamence. I was hoping that he would go to like Celebi and I could just hit another HP Fly for free. But he actually stays in on the Suicune. And I'm going to take this opportunity to now go to Fortress. And I will try to set up a spike. No, actually, I'm going to spin first. That kind of makes sense. But that was a weak Hidden Power Fire. I'm going to go to Tyranitar, as this thing is going to Calm Mind up. So this is a very strange Celebi set. I'm assuming that it's got to be like Baton Pass with really, really high Spadef investment. And it is. As we're going to see him switch into Tyranitar. Earthquake comes down. I'm going to Earthquake back. I've been liking Earthquake on Pursuit Tar because of CM substitute Jirachi. It's a pretty nasty Pokemon, and even with your fire coverage, if it gets enough CM boosts, it can start living the Fire Blast on its substitute. Also, you could just miss, and that's really, really bad. But Earthquake, even with no investment, and even with a minus nature, is guaranteed to break the sub. So Tyranitar can pretty effectively trade into a sub-CM Jirachi. I'm going to go to Salamence here to get the Intimidate off, and they are going to Rock Slide, which is not good. This is a crazy-ass Tyranitar set, but, you know, Jolteon outspeeds a +1 Tyranitar. Doesn't matter what speed that guy has, he's not fast enough. And that's quite good for us. I'm going to go to Metagross here to try to punish this Celebi going for Calm Mind. It is going to recover, and I'm going to blow up. And, well, now I'm thinking that they don't have a great win condition here. I go to Tyranitar because it trades pretty well into everything. If Blaziken comes in, I can Earthquake it. If Tyranitar comes in, I can Earthquake that. I'm going to crunch into the Swampert, and that puts it at about 60% magic number. Hidden Power Grass is going to be great here. Blaziken is in. I don't think I want to risk anything with my Jolteon, so I'm going to switch. He switches to Zapdos, which is a pretty nice switch from him. I'm going to go to Fortress, who finds a Toxic, which is great. If I'm able to live a Thunderbolt, which he's not going to click, I'm going to be able to get a Spike up, and now I'm in a really, really good spot. Jolteon is primed to win this game here. I will click a Hidden Power Fire just to get some damage on Zapdos. And I'm just going to stick it there. If I crit there, I could have killed him, I guess. He's just going to protect here. It doesn't really do anything for him. In fact, I think protect is kind of a throw, because if I switch to anything on that protect turn, like my Jolteon, then you get nothing out of the turn. I can just click Thunderbolt. No need to predict the Swampert. Even if it has protect, it's very unlikely to heal out of range. Blaziken comes in, is going to take the hidden power, and it's going to take a spike, and it's going to take Sand Chip. And now this, I mean, the next time that this Blaziken switches in, it's certainly going to be in Thunderbolt range. So we can even just sack our Suicune here if we want. Which is probably what I'm going to do here. We're just going to surf down on the surf again. Get your Zapdos in. Sure, you can kill my Suicune if you want. Except, psych, we got Spadef investment on this John, so he doesn't even get the kill there. But even if he did, Jolteon was going to clean up from that position. I want to talk a little bit about this Suicune, what it's supposed to do. The idea is that you Calm Mind as something like a Zapdos switches in, and if their way to deal with your Suicune is to click Thunderbolt, you get the second Calm Mind. You can now rest loop most Zapdos with your +2 Spadef. It does mean that if they have Roar, you're in a little bit of trouble. But yeah, if that's their way to handle Suicune, that's not a good way to handle the Suicune anymore. It's also great for things like Gengar, who are trying to Thunderbolt into your Suicune, because it doesn't take you... I think with one boost, you're going to be winning that matchup most commonly. So you kind of force them to have to boom if they even have it. So quite nice. One of the things that does suck about the Suicune is Milotic. Milotic can kind of just recover loop you, and even if you crit it, it's decently likely to survive, and then if it clicks recover that turn, it can be an issue. I've tried some things to address this. I'll let you speculate on the things that I have tried, but it is pretty nice. This Suicune, if it does crit a Milotic at +6, it will leave it in guaranteed dead to Sandstorm range. So sometimes it does just outright kill. But if they don't click recover on that turn, that they get crit and Sand is up, they will die. So that's quite nice. All right, we're up against Colors 22, who's got a lead Salamence. Where is he sitting? 1582. Where am I at? Ooh, if I win this game, I'm 1700. All right, Snorlax versus Fortress. Thing about Snorlax is kind of a Fortress counter, despite the fact that Fortress is a normal resist. The reason why, it's not because of Fire Blast, it's actually because of Curse. If Snorlax starts cursing up, there's not much that Fortress can do about it. You can blow up, but it's so predictable that sometimes the Snorlax player could game on you and switch to their normal resist, or if they happen to have Gengar on the team. Gengar Snorlax, not super duper common as a pairing, but it's not illegal by any means. And yeah, now you've lost your Fortress, and you're in trouble. And especially this Fortress, which has Hidden Power Fire, which is doing no damage, and Toxic, which is, I mean, that like immunity is completely blocking you. Fortress is actually really, really bad into Snorlax, so I have to switch in my mind, because Curselax is going to be too big an issue. I don't want to commit my Metagross boom right away. So I go to Tyranitar to set up the Sandstorm, and he clicks Fire Blast, so that was a very fortunate turn of events for me. Now I'm going to go Metagross, because I don't think he would click Fire Blast again, and he just blows up. So I don't hate that. He goes Breloom. Going Breloom immediately on a Metagross that hasn't revealed its item, I think is very, very risky. Because if I didn't reveal my item, I could be Lumberry, and then Breloom is not happy to try to fight a 51% Metagross that might have a Lumberry. He is going to try to substitute on me, which is, I think, fine, because I'm going to get chip healing. But I figure at this point he was going to Spore, and with this team, I like sleep sacking the Tyranitar. Particularly because Breloom plus Gengar is a very unusual pairing, and especially with Snorlax on the team, I don't think you can really fit Gengar that well because you're probably not going to have spikes, so Gengar doesn't really like do much for you. The only thing that Gengar, the niche that Gengar usually has on spikeless teams is blowing up to set up Dugtrio kills, and I also don't think you have Dugtrio on this team, so the Suitar is not going to be super duper useful, and that's why I choose to Sleep Sack it there, and that lets me go to Salamence, who is fantastic for Breloom. I'm going to Dragon Dance up, and let's see what he does. Stun Spore. Okay, well, that's not good. What a set. Only attacking move is Focus Punch. Kind of crazy. I mean, maybe it gets the job done, though. I do click a Rock Slide trying to catch Salamence switching in, but unfortunately, it is not a Salamence switch. I'm going to switch to Suicune, because I figured maybe he would go to Mence, and then I'm kind of boned. But he's going to reveal to be a Curse Ancient Power Registeel. What the hell? And he's going to blow up here. Okay. If that was Amnesia, I could have been in a lot of trouble, but I mean, it wasn't, so I guess I'm fine. I'm going to go to Fortress on the double down, trying to get my spike up, but he goes Charizard, so I can't get my spike up. We're going to go Salamence, who does resist the Fire Blast, and if this thing doesn't have Hidden Power Ice, I won't die, which is going to force a switch to Breloom. Now, this Breloom set obviously is not going to be able to take too much advantage of my Salamence unless I get really, really bad Paraluck. And I'm happy to kill it because I don't want to get paralyzed on anything else. Critical hit hugely mattered there, of course. But yeah, I'm in a horrible spot with my Salamence versus his Salamence, so I don't want to mess around too much. But this Fortress here, even though we don't have Explosion, we do have Toxic, and Toxic into these DD Menses is really, really devastating. Because, like, yeah, okay, if you boom, great, but they limit the spikes that you can put up. If they have spikes on your side of the field, you're not spinning those anymore. If there's another Pokemon on their team that Fortress would like to try to handle in some way, you're not able to do that. And if they call your boom, like if he went to Charizard trying to call the boom, that could have been devastating if this Salamence is going to sweep my team. But Toxic, as long as the team is defensively robust enough, can be very, very challenging for a Salamence to deal with. I can switch to my own Salamence, Cycle, and Intimidate. And he just goes for Brick Break. And I'm thinking to myself, well, I mean, if that's your best move to hit Fortress, it's probably pretty safe for me to go back to Fortress. It does reveal Hidden Power Fly, so I guess it wasn't his best move to hit Fortress, but whatever. I am going to sneak my Spike here, as I assume he's going to go for a Dragon Dance. And I get a little bit of chip healing on the 4, and then I'm going to cycle the Intimidate with my own Salamence, who is going to die. Critical hit, I don't think it mattered. But I can go to Metagross here because he's revealed all of his moves. I know he doesn't have. I know he does not have Earthquake, but for whatever reason, I decided to switch out to Tyranitar. Maybe I wanted to get a little bit more chip healing on the Metagross for some reason. I don't know. He's going to reveal Brick Break on Charizard, which is really, really funny. And then Jolteon is here, and Charizard does not like to see a Jolteon, so. Let's see what his last is. It's Raikou. Okay, Raikou. One of the things that Jolteon does to beat a Raikou is roar it out. Issue is, I don't have roar on my Jolteon. Also, this is a last mon Raikou, so even if I did, I wouldn't be able to beat it. So, how do I play around this? Well, okay, I see it as leftovers, so that means it's not Lumberry. So it's not that crazy Vapicuno team set. So I can Thunderwave it. He's going to Calm Mind. The thing is, my Metagross, maybe depending on how much defensive investment this Raikou has. Might not be able to kill with one Earthquake, but, you know, we don't have to worry about that. You just go for Tickle. Now we're going to outspeed with Metagross, and we're going to just kill him with a big, fat Earthquake. I mean, granted, I think getting the T-Wave is good enough, because I could just blow up on the Raikou, but it does play around, like, weirdo things, like if he has Protect for some reason, maybe if he has Rest, and my Jolteon is not able to, like, chip him into a good range for Metagross's Earthquake to get the kill, then, yeah, we're pretty solid with where we are with this Jolteon. So that kind of guarantees that end game for us, no matter what the Raikou said it was. So, yeah, nice. We're into the next game here. We're up against Rid Secondary, 1400. So I'm in the high 1600s. Lead Tyranitar. This is exactly why we're leading Suicune. And I'm going to double, assuming that he's going to switch. And it turns out to be a good play for me, as I can get my Spike up in front of a Heracross. That Brick Break, I think, reveals Choice Band damage. I'm going to switch to Salamence. As he goes to Skarmory, interesting to pair Skarmory with Heracross. You don't see that too commonly. But I'm going to switch my Jolteon in, and I'm going to get Thiefed. Okay. I mean, I'm not that broken up about getting Thiefed on Jolteon. Jolteon's health is not often a super valuable resource, so you can kind of spend it in these ways, like switching into a Spike and things like that. But I mean, obviously better to not have to take that Thief if you can, but it's kind of whatever. I'm gonna go for a Toxic on Swampert. His last on this team, if it is not a spinner, then I don't know what it is. And I figured that getting a Toxic on Pert is probably going to be more worth my time than going for 3 layers that might get spun away. Also, depending on what happens here, I might be able to just get my 3 layers anyway. And with Hydro Pump Earthquake, this thing, I mean, it could have Refresh, but I don't know if it will. I'm going to double to Salamence here, predicting Celebi to come in, and I find a great time for it to come in. And I am faster, and I'm going to double again to Tyranitar, trying to limit Skarmory and its spikes. So I'm going to double once again, I guess a quadruple into Suicune, who's going to steal all this Hydro Pump PP, and that's great for us. And it is, in fact, a spinner last. It's Starmie. And I don't know off the top of my head, but I definitely remember calcing that. Yeah, I took some time there to see what Starmie it was. And it is an offensive Starmie whose Thunderbolt is not going to 2-hit KO me after I've gone for a Calm Mind. I can go for a Rest here. And then I can just Crocoon it up. All right, Sleep Talk mechanics. Somebody asked me about this, and I want to make sure that you all know here. Quiz for you. If I go for Sleep Talk on this turn, and they go Skarmory, and then I click a move that is not Sleep Talk, and they roar me out, how many turns has my Suicune burnt? Some of you are naively going to say 2, because you don't know how Sleep Talk mechanics work. When you use Sleep Talk, you don't burn the turns when you switch out. But that's only all the turns that you've consecutively burnt before you've used Sleep Talk. If you switch out on a turn after you use Sleep Talk. So some of you might have psyched yourself out into saying, oh, actually, you don't burn any turns. But in reality, the play that I'm about to go for is to Sleep Talk here to see if Skarmory will come in. And then I'm going to click Surf to burn the second turn without using a Sleep Talk. He is actually going to go to Heracross, though. And I just roll a Rest, which is not fantastic. In this case, I think I end up going just for a Surf, so I can guarantee that I burn the turn. He goes for Rock Slide, trying to catch my Salamence switching in. And I'm going to take this opportunity to wake up and Surf him. So that's great. When you're playing with Crocoon, you want to be judicious about when you're going to click Sleep Talk. You don't want to click Sleep Talk in front of something that can use Roar, because then you're going to lose all your turns that you've burned. That's not good. We're going to go to Salamence here on a Hidden Power Grass from the Celebi. I did opt to stay in and take those Leech Seeds from the Celebi in case we're going to need to PP stall them out, but fortunately for me, he's going to decide to sacrifice his Celebi for the greater good, I guess. I'm going to sacrifice my Mence, and this is the idea. He traded his Celebi to get the revenge kill with Starmie, and I traded my Mence to get the revenge kill with Jolteon. The thing is, because I'm up a Pokemon, well, I'm actually up 2 Pokemon at the time that Starmie took the kill, like, trading for me is a lot more valuable. I can just click Thunderbolt. Nothing wants to take a Thunderbolt except for Swampert, but Swampert doesn't want to take a Hidden Power Grass, and it's just going to die there. Now, Tyranitar is going to come in. Tyranitar could be dangerous, but I have Tickle. And, yeah. That's going to stop its defense boost. Since it revealed to have leftovers, I am going to go for a Thunderwave, which will drop its speed. So now my Metagross is actually going to outspeed it. And he's going to go for multiple Dragon Dances. I could have stayed in and tickled away with my Jolteon, although I am getting chipped out by... I'm getting chipped out by Sandstorm because I don't have my leftovers anymore. I think Jolteon is still very valuable into these last 2, so I'm going to go Fori. I went Fori first because I thought he would just go ahead and attack the Fori and kill it, and that was like, Fori's my least valuable Pokemon, but he Dragon Danced again, and I'm like, I can't really mess around with this, so let me go to Tyranitar. And Tyranitar's Earthquake is going to do fantastic damage, and he gets full Parrot on that turn, so that's kind of rough for him. But Metagross would have been able to come in and quite easily clean that up. Should I have wanted it? But fortunately, because I keep my Tyranitar, I can Fire Blast into the Skarmory, and then I'm going to Crunch because I figured he would switch to Starmie there. And yeah, game over. Nothing he can do. So, yeah. This team is working out really well together. They kind of lock in to handle a lot of different threats. Like this Salamence, sometimes like a DD Mence without much support feels kind of bad. Like, you know, we're not going to be able to kill Skarmory. We don't have like a Magneton, right, to remove it. But like the Heracross and the Celebi are both really, really threatened by Salamence's Hidden Power Fly. And because Brick Break DD Mence is so common nowadays, this Tyranitar is not even super safe to switch in. So, yeah. Let's switch the perspectives here. We're up against a lead Suicune. I don't like finding a lead Suicune, but he's going to click Toxic turn 1, which I don't think is quite... I mean, maybe it depends on what's happening with the Suicune here. But, yeah, he's going to Toxic into my Fori, which is not good for him. I'm going to be able to get my Spike up as he goes for a Hydro Pump. Hydro Pump's really, really, really risky. But he does hit it, which puts me in guaranteed HP Fire range from the Magneton. Yeah, if he missed that, I could have maybe went for a second Spike. But given that I'm chipped and I don't know what he might have on his team, I think it's okay to go for the Toxic there. Unfortunately, he does reveal a Magneton, and it's a Magneton that doesn't even have Hidden Power Fire. So I could have got 3 layers of Spikes up if I had clicked the Spike there instead of a Toxic. But I think I'm fine to take my 2 Spikes. If this is blue offense, he probably doesn't have a Spinner, so I'm in a great spot. I go for a Fire Blast here. This is at the point where I'm testing out a different Salamence set. It's got Dragon Dance and Fire Blast. A little bit better in the mid game to be able to hit things like a Skarmory. I mean, if you want to try that out for yourself, find somebody who can hook you up with the EVs. I'm not going to give you that. Because I don't think you should just be slapping it on any old team. I'm going to go ahead and Calm Mind up. I figure it with Toxic Hydro Pump, very unlikely that the Suicune has Roar, so he won't be able to stop me if I go for it. Yeah, he's going to CM pass to Suicune here. I get a Raise, which is kind of nice, but I can't really do anything with it. Because I don't want to take a Hydro Pump from his Suicune. I'm going to Rest up here. Probably if I was smart, I could have went for a Calm Mind, but Rest is pretty good at helping me out in case he goes to something like Celebi. I do manage to get a Calm Mind there, but I can't really afford to stay in on Magneton, so I'm going to switch out. And yes, that means I'm going to need 2 turns to burn here, because that Sleep Talk turn doesn't count. But it's good to know. Flygon is going to come in on my Tyranitar. Not nice. He's going to click Rock Slide. That did a lot. That's got to be CB. And Porygon 2 is going to enter the field. So I'm going to go to Metagross. I don't know if I like that position for myself. But I'm going to mash. I do get a crit and a raise. Crit raise. Love to see it. And then he crits me back. So, okay. I would have I would have liked to not take the crit raise to have gotten my agility off. Because if I did get my agility off, I could have killed the Magneton and then blown up on something else. But unfortunately, that's not how the cookie's going to crumble in this game. We'll go Tyranitar on the Celebi. Take a Hidden Power Ice. All of you cheesers in your Hidden Power Ice Celebi nowadays. God dang. I am going to be able to crunch and catch the Flygon switching in, and it's possibly dead to the next crunch. We don't know. And I'm going to go to Salamence, try to block the Earthquake. Do manage to do so. Because my thought process is if you lock into Rock Slide as I intimidate you, then you're Pursuit trapped by my Tyranitar. So I'm okay to take that trade. Hidden Power Flying is going to put Porygon 2, I think, in Brick Break range. And yeah, that's going to kill that Porygon 2. I think the thing is, I've communicated with the moves that I'm a Mixments, and I mean, I am, but I'm attack invested. So that can sometimes be confusing, especially for players who don't play with the calc open. So yeah, and they think that I'm not gonna sacrifice my Salamence here, so I go for a Hidden Power Fly, and I don't kill the Celebi. That sucks. But what doesn't suck is taking a Hidden Power Ice for my troubles. They're going to Giga Drain, get a good bit of healing back, but I'm going to Crunch, because I figured, well, I mean, I would rather Crunch into the Flygon or the Suicune if those switch in. And if you do stay in to try to hit my Tyranitar, then I can kill you. Suicune is going to pump into my Suicune and get a critical hit. Very, very nice. What am I going to do here? I just burned the turn, trying to see what he's got on his team. And it is a Raikou last. So, very weirdo, old-style Raikou Magneton team. I don't have fantastic ways to deal with Raikou, but I do manage to hit a critical hit with my Thunderbolt there, and I hit another critical hit, so we get the double there, and he clicks Rest. So I hit 2 crits in a row, and it didn't even matter. What the fuck? But I can show you one of the cool things about this Earthquake Pursuit Tar is that Raikou doesn't love to take an Earthquake. As you can see there, 66%. I'm going to switch back to Jolteon, as a Thunderbolt is going to come down and heal my Jolteon up. I think you probably should go for Hidden Power Grass there. I do get my Thunderwave off, and now I think I'm going to tickle this guy. That's right. Now your Rest Raikou isn't looking so good anymore, buddy. We can go to Tyranitar, and now that Raikou is forced to switch out, it didn't even get to burn a turn of sleep. Yeah, that sucks. But yeah, we're going to get the pursuit trap idea off on this Flygon now. Doesn't quite kill, but that's certainly in range of HP grass from my Jolteon if we're able to find that situation for ourselves. I still have one more turn to burn. It won't tell you that which turns are fake on here. I'm just gonna burn it just in case he switches to something like his Raikou, and I maybe don't want to stay in. He has used up his last Hydro Pump, which is great for me. Now I can think about going for some Sleep Talks if I want to. This Flygon is going to just stay in and attack me. And, you know, if I didn't roll the Surf here, it would have been a little bit nasty, but I would have had my Jolteon to come in, and I'm getting really, really good value off of Hidden Power Grass here. But because I hit the Surf there, I'm in a pretty strong position. I'm going to use this opportunity to wake my Suicune up and go for a Surf. And then, what do? I Surf again. And then I can probably just go Jolteon here. Yep. So he's kind of forced to rest, and he doesn't even do it. So he's just going to Calm Mind, and I can tickle this guy. He's going to rest, and then Tyranitar is in a great spot to just win the game here. Does go Suicune, but, I mean, you're taking the spikes damage. My Suicune is always, always, always walling this. Your last move is Ice Beam. Pretty damn sure at this point. I'm just going to Surf. Reason being is that if Raikou switches in, it's just dead to Surfs before it even wakes up. You can go Suicune and try to save your Raikou. Actually, you won't because of Spikes and Sand. And yeah, we're going to trade the Suicune to set up for the Jolteon Revenge kill. Yeah, you see how that works? Yeah, these concepts that I talk about in the PowerPoint part actually come up in the games. Crazy how that works out. All right, last one here. We're up against Memes for the Belly. They're chilling around in like the 1600s. Where am I at? 1701. Yeah. Great spot to be. Lead Skarmory. I'm just going to Surf it. Take my 31%. Now I'm going to go to Fortress. There are a lot of different lines that I take there. If I Surf again on a Roar, that's really, really good damage overall. We'll see if he... I think he probably wants to get the third spike. He actually goes for a Toxic on the Suicune. His Skarmory's super duper low, and I reveal the Fortress. So, it's not a fantastic spot for him to be. He better have a Gengar. He does have a Gengar. I am going to take my Spike first. And then we're going to go Tyranitar. And this is where you might run into some problems with your Suitar, right? Tyranitar is switched in. It's taken 3 layers of spikes. Depending on what coverage that a Gengar has, maybe I won't be able to Pursuit Trap it. And, all right. Here's the thing here. If your Tyranitar is not at 100% HP and there are no spikes down on your field, on your side of the field, I think you have to Pursuit Gengar with this team. I was like, oh, well, he's going to call me out. Because it's so obvious that I'm Suitar. But he just switches to Swampert, and if I got the suit off, this Gengar would have been at like 10-ish%. And literally everything in the world is killing it. So we would have been in a great spot to pressure this Gengar. And instead I get a Crunch on Swampert, which is still pretty good value, but my Tyranitar is way too weak. It's not going to be able to trap the Gengar, so I'm in trouble here. So, learn from my mistake. Click Suit into Gengar. And, wow, he goes to Skarmory on a turn where I could have killed him if I click Surf, which is kind of crazy. I'm just going to burn the turn of Sleep, and then he roars me into Jolteon. I mean, Thunderbolt is looking quite good for me. And he has Claydol, Gengar, Swampert. Let me tell you this. Claydol plus Swampert, very hard to fit on a team together because they have so much overlapping defensive profile that, like, if you're up against, like, they're countering the same thing, but they're also getting countered by the same thing a lot of the time. So I don't know if I would recommend that. Claydol, Gengar, I really don't recommend that. There are some teams that can work with that, but similar idea. They're both pursuit trappable, and they, again, have a lot of similar defensive profile. To put all three on the same team, no. I mean, it's going to work out for him, I guess, as he's able to Psychic. That's the thing. This team is communicating that there is a Gengar here, but I don't have a Gengar, so I can just kind of go crazy with my Salamence here. I'm really pressuring this to boom, and it does, which is great because I can set up my spikes now, and that's a thing that Jolteon doesn't like to see, that it doesn't have to deal with anymore. So that's really nice. My opponent clicks a Giga Drain here. I'm going to stay in and Sleep Talk, because I figured they wouldn't want to click Thunderbolt into the Jolteon. And I figured they also probably do have Giga Drain to punish Tyranitar. And then, of course, I very smartly go for a Calm Mind when I'm dead to the next Thunderbolt. But thankfully, he goes for a Giga Drain and he doesn't hit his roll. So we kind of get bailed out there. I should have lost this game really bad. But Crokun is going to just Gamaz this guy. Bam, Sleep Talk hit the Surf into Skarmory. You have to go to a Pokemon that forces my Suicune to switch here. That like, this is not obviously not forcing me to switch, and I'm just going to take my Surf. Bang. There you go. It's like I Pursuit trapped the Gengar all along. Taunt. Okay, that's fine. I'm just going to Surf you. Now, it means if you have something that can stop me or like two-shot me, if I can't rest, then that's great. And Jolteon is going to do that, but I am able to switch into my own Jolteon, which is going to make things a little awkward for him. He's going to switch to Swampert. This is sometimes dead to Hidden Power Grass. In fact, very often it is, and I'm just going to go for it. And he's dead to Hidden Power Grass. Would you look at that? We'll tickle the Tyranitar as he goes for Earthquake. Which means that my Metagross can come in. It will survive an Earthquake. And it actually is going to survive two, probably. Which means I can Agility, and I'll go for my own Earthquake. Don't quite kill his Tyranitar. His Tyranitar doesn't quite kill me, and because I'm a fast Metagross, there's just no way for him to win here. As I can go for an Earthquake to kill the Tyranitar, and then a Blow Up to kill the Jolteon. I guess I could also go for an Earthquake, but that's probably more consistent in case he has like Protect for some ungodly reason. But yeah, this team here, he's doing a Jolt Spikes of his own, but I don't think you want Claydol here. I think you want Starmie. That you want to be a faster paced team. And offensive Starmie can handle a lot of things that Jolteon maybe isn't going to be always equipped to do. Like, for example, a Salamence, right? If you don't have Hidden Power Ice on your Jolteon, you don't super duper love to trade into Salamence all the time, but Ice Beam on a fast Starmie, great thing to have for a Salamence. They also both pressure the Steels together. Well, Claydol kind of pressures the Steels, but not always because it's slow. But yeah, this is gonna be it for this Jolteon video here. I think it's really strong, and I think it sometimes gets underrated, especially by newer players who don't quite understand how to play cohesively with their team, because Jolteon is really bad at winning games on its own. Like, if your opponent has a Blissey or a Snorlax, it can be really tough. And I don't know if we ran into any Blissey teams in this. So I don't know. Maybe you just have to take my word that the combination of Fori, Tar, Metagross, Salamence is great into Blissey. And in fact, this Suicune can be really, really nice into Blissey as well, depending on the set. But yeah, that'll just about do it. I am about to go on a trip, which means I will be out for about a week. It doesn't really change much because I don't upload I don't upload as much as I used to, so as you probably won't even notice, but if I see any cool things on my trip to New York, I'll let you guys know about it. It's not my first time being in New York. I actually used to live there for parts of the year, semi-consistently when I was in grade school, but we don't have to get into all that. Yeah, this should be fun, and I hope you all have fun too, and I hope that when I come back, we have more subscribers than Zets. Help me out in my journey to take this guy down. All right, see you all.